Alrighty, folks, boys and girls, aunts and uncles, grandmas and grandpas, husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, um, nephews and nieces. Welcome in.
Okay,
There was-
nice. I don't think there's anything left.
I was like,
Cousins, maybe?
boyfriends and girlfriends, and ladies and gentlemen. I think I start with ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. Yeah, welcome to another episode of Wine Wednesday. Again, it is October 1st. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed, or if you guys were there, watched the Good Morning NASDAQ stream. We did a little bit of trading, nothing too crazy, but we did get to watch the open happen amongst our very eyes. And now we're here. 9 hours or 10 hours, whatever math I did earlier is later. So welcome in, like and subscribe. Feel free to put in any questions maybe you didn't get a chance to ask during the stream this morning. Huddie and I will be holding the show down. Dom is out hunting deer, like the manly forest man he is. So yeah, we're having himself some time off, looking for deer. Maybe he gets one, maybe he doesn't. I don't remember if he got one last year or no, he missed last year, but I don't remember if he's.
No, I think he got. Oh yeah, maybe he missed last year.
But
That would make sense.
I think the year before, didn't he finally get one after like years of looking? I think it's not a common occurrence that you get one, but he did.
Us California boys don't know anything about that.
No, we don't. We do not.
We don't kill deer.
So I can't speak for deer hunting experts or expertise out there. But
That's where he is.
yeah. Anyways, Huddy, talk to me. Talk to me about. What? This is your second week back from being in Europe. I know you obviously traded a little bit in Europe, but like this is where you're back in the desk, watching the markets, monitoring the upticks, the downticks. Right? What are some things you've noticed, and what are some things you're seeing, into this week?
Um, One of the things I noticed is that the market is still incredibly hot. Has been hot this whole year. We've been on a massive uptrend ever since April. I think we broke new highs today and like looked great.
Yeah.
Uh, that's like super impressive. And like honestly, I don't know if like Kyle, you put this in my head. Climbing the wall of worry. When does this stop? When does the uptrend start to break down? It's
Yeah.
kind of like not that like I would do anything with it, but I do think that this type of market provides amazing opportunity. Like it might be cold for a couple days. There might be nothing for you, but like if you're focusing on a good strategy, like it'll come around in this type of market. Stocks will get extended, breakouts will go further, first red days will come, swing trades will happen. Um, and it's like I got back and there was like what last week there was three breakouts that I traded. This week there were three first red days that I traded. It's Wednesday. I didn't even trade today. There's just like an ample amount of opportunity, whether you're long or short biased, and that's what this type of market. We have this kind of volatility where the stock, like the overall market's up like what 40% in 6 months from the lows. I don't know exactly. I'm ballparking. It's insane, and that provides traders with volatility, and that's what makes day trading good. If you have volatility, you have opportunity. Write that down.
Take notes.
Um, what else? I've been pretty look, I only trade three setups. Maybe I'm testing a new fourth one, swing trading, which I haven't really done anything with in the past 2 weeks. Like anything I've bought hasn't really done anything. And I've only really had one exceptional risk reward trade, which was open on the swing trading, which was again like while I was on vacation. I was just like keeping an eye on one chart that I thought had a lot of merit. I've talked about it on Good Morning Nasdaq for the better part of 2 months. Um, and that ended up being like half of my September month, which was great. Um, I got back. I've been trading for 2 weeks. Um, I've been pretty good at trading my three setups, right? Just not being a dingleberry and like trying to trade. I actually try not to trade. I actually try to leave the computer by 11 a.m. I know most of the time, except for like the swing trades, my buttons need to be pushed in the first 2 hours, at least for entering trades
Mm-hmm.
and potentially exiting. Otherwise, I have a patience approach. So just like if trades are here, nailing them, and then by 11, doing my best to kind of wrap up the day, keep whatever positions I want to keep if I must, and then like get out and not just watch the market all day and like feel like I have to work this like 9 to 5 job. Like that's not why I got into trading. And I don't think that's necessary to be a good trader. You don't have to watch every uptick and every downtick and every piece of consolidation. Like it's not necessary. Have a pattern, have a trigger, have a stop. and like say la vie, let whatever's gonna happen happen. Like there's no 1 minute candle that's gonna change, and maybe news comes out and stop loss is like you need to know about it, but other than that, like I don't need to sit here for 3 hours and watch paint dry sideways. So September was good. I was able to double my month since I got back and had a, top 5 month in September and really only traded like
Nice.
half of it, you know? So it just like reinstitutes the idea that it's quality over quantity. It really is. Like you don't need to be here every day. You don't need to nail every single thing. But there are some exceptional trades that you do have to know are exceptional before you get it. And then we call them the A plus trades. You don't really have to size them any differently. You don't really need to treat them any differently. You just gotta be there for them and not be there for all the BS in between. I hear a big buzzing noise.
Yeah, I think my landscaper's outside just blowing away leaves, so I apologize for the sound. He's like probably right out my window.
It's all good. It's 4
Lovely.
p.m. for you.
Yeah, it's
So those are the things I've
fantastic.
kind of noticed. I've um, been pretty hands off and like making good money, and I love that. That's exactly where I want to be. That's exactly where I think everyone should be. Kind of boring, not fun trading, and just doing the systems and the patterns and the routines, and letting the edge kind of pay you over the long run, like and having faith.
Yeah, I totally get that. What's cool about that is that, like you said, you've only traded only the second half of September, which led to
Yeah.
such a still good month for missing so much. So that's huge. And yeah, and I've noticed that not everywhere. Like again, just if you're not making money, don't in September, don't feel bad for it. Right? There's different traders at different styles in every market environment. But I will say, including myself and some other traders I not in touch with, but follow or see, a lot of people are having really good months. So it's a pretty forgiving, frothy kind of advantageous market from what I have noticed as well. So things are rocking, things are rolling. So again, feel free to put in
Let me get
questions.
the
What's up?
let me get the actual tally of how many days I traded in September. And
Okay.
this means like I guess days that I either locked in a profit or took a loss. Uh
Right, something.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 days. And I took off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's pretty good.
So it was like 45% somewhere in there, 40%.
Yeah. 10 out of 22.
Yeah, nice. All right.
So good.
All right. Let's see. Again, feel free to throw in your questions in the chat. Fernando says, "Good evening. 3 first red days this week, Huddie. Which question mark? Did you? I guess you mentioned 3 first red days.
Yeah. Yeah, we could just look at the charts real quick all together. If you have a chart in front of you, NUAI is
Yep.
probably the best one out of the whole group in terms of the way that it set up. That's picture perfect. That's exactly what you want. 3 to 500% run in a very short amount of time, and a clear trend reversal on the 30th. That's picture perfect right there. So that was pretty good. DFLI is the next one. Um, you know, it's not the worst. It's not the best. I think NUAI is built better than all of these, but DFLI was definitely there. Nice 4 day run, up 100% from the lows. I got short at red green, covered it up 15 or 10 cents lower, and just called it a day. It was a pretty quick trade, and I was happy to do it. Uh, Again, nothing exceptional, but profitable. And then the one that I hated the most was DVLT. I still took it on the day. Whoa, that's about to break out. Um, yeah, well, that's a crazy chart. I still took it on Tuesday, but I had like conflicting factors about it because it's kind of like I don't really think it's a second red day, but it kind of feels like a second red day. Like it's so far off the highs, it feels like more like continuation than like the start of the move. So I wasn't like too excited about it, but I still took it and I still made some money on that one. Maybe that's not like that's probably if I had to rank them, I think it's NUAI is the best, DFLI second, and DVLT would be like the one I could totally miss and live my life. But they all happened the same day. I gave them all the same treatment. They all made me money. Uh, and now DVLT is back and breaking out after holding a buck.
I like that it went right to what 138 or 130. The high breakout's like 138, and it went right to 136, 37. So now it has like
I'll
a
put big
nice
gaps down
little,
tomorrow.
yeah, nice little three or triple top, quadruple top, double top, whatever you want to call it. Right at the highs there, the breakout levels. That could be nice going forward.
If it doesn't gap up.
That would be the unfortunate part. Right now it's like what it looks to be gapping down slightly, which is nice. That's a little bit better. But let's see. Skater Hub, Huddie, do you have any info or data on risk of ruin for the gap and crap shorts?
Well, I think the best, like, let's take gap and crap shorts out of that question. And, like, how do we avoid the risk of ruin? Right? Like, that's kind of, I guess, maybe the question. And to avoid the risk of ruin is basically to size in with an amount that is very hard to blow up. Whether it's like frequency of trades and or disaster situation, right? And you could still blow up. Like nothing's for certain, nothing's guaranteed in the markets. So I'm not saying anything like that. But I have read in literature that in order to avoid the risk of ruin, like the max one could risk in their account to like be on the safer of safe sides would be 2%. And that would be 50 trades, right, in a row to blow up. Whereas, like, if you're risking 10% of your account, like, your risk of ruin is much higher. Like, things can go wrong. You might not cut. News could come out, and, like, you could be done pretty quickly. At 2%, it's a lot harder. 1%. So it really, and maybe you can rephrase your question, and I might be able to get more specific in terms of gap and craps. But like 2%, 1% risk, although it's going to be a grind and a slow grind at that, that avoids the risk of ruin as best as possible. Like at that rate, it's mathematically hard.
Yeah, it's a good point because risk of ruin can be very high, largely based on the trader, not necessarily the setup or strategy. It differs, but right, if you're not risking 1%, you're risking like 20%. Yeah, you've got 5 losses, and your risk of ruin is 100%. You're there. So it's a good point. P. Daddy says thoughts on DVLP breakout. We kind of just mentioned that. Could happen tomorrow. Could happen never. We'll have to see. If you see it at 139, that's a breakout. If you don't ever see it at 139, then tough toodles. What are you guys' best and worst trades and why? I know I know Andy's asking why in terms of like how were they the best or worst trades? Because when I think of why, I was like, well, what do you mean why? Like why was it the best trade? Like I think of P&L. I think that's what most people think of, like best number, biggest P&L, biggest profit, and then biggest loss. But when you say worst, best and worst, I mean, you could argue a trade that's not the biggest profit is my best trade to some degree, in the sense of like it's just like you couldn't have traded any better, But I know everyone's thinking actual P&L.
Let's go like short term, right? Like let's not just go like biggest loss, biggest win.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Maybe we could do a video lesson on FFIE one day, but I'm sure you have.
Yes.
Let's talk about like your best in the past month. I would say, from what I know, is LEU.
I haven't locked that in, but locked in would be open.
But let's talk about like. Okay, you could use open too. I was gonna use open.
No, you can use open. Go for
I
it.
think I think I like the way that you approached LEU, and I think I like that you had like there's something as simple as taking the trade, and there's something as simple as like pyramiding in, which is what I think you did. And I think that's what kind of makes it more towards your best trade, because you did that one extra step that like added to a winner, and you patiently waited for that moment and you nailed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like open, you bought it, you held it, you sold it. So like, okay, biggest P&L, fine, but like, was it an ollie or was it a kickflip? You know?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. You took it one step further.
It's like, how cool of a trick were we talking here?
Yeah.
um,
That's where my head goes.
yeah, I get that. And LEU, if it keeps going, it could become a bigger profit than open, but it needs to go. It's got a few more dollars a share to go. It's a ways away, um, but I know what you mean, honey. So I mean, yeah. Short answer to Andy's question is like, okay, biggest gain, biggest profit ever, whether it's the best trade ever. MSTR. I made 640 grand or 650 grand, something like that. Worst is FFIE, lost nearly 400 grand. But yeah, recently, open is good for both Huddie and I, not necessarily because it was a cool kick or a cool ollie, but because it was just a really strong momentous stock and it went much further than I think we expected. Um,
Well, yeah, I'll let you finish.
okay. Worst trade recently, whether it's P&L or just like how I traded it, how I'm so upset with it. Um, I'm trying to think what stock or what trade recently have I just screw up so royally. I'm like just really pissed at myself. Uh,
It's good that you can't think of one right off the top of your head.
well, yeah, September was a pretty good month. I had very few trades I was really upset about. August I could think of plenty just because I overtraded like a mofo on swings. I bought literally anything under the sun, which when it wasn't the time to. Um, I mean, I recently UMAC is a swing that I sold for break even. When in reality, had I actually stuck to a moving average, I actually would be up on it. So that annoys me just a bit because I didn't rebuy it, and so I technically would be up on the position versus selling for break even. But it's neither here or there. It's not the worst thing in the world. But anyways, continue. Where were you saying, honey?
The reason the reason I kind of turned open from an ollie to a kickflip, I would say, like the reason I like it for me, like the P&L, like I can't really dictate that. Like the strategy kind of dictates that, and I get what I get. Like I don't get to like take a number and say, ooh, that's what I want to make, and so I'm gonna make it. Uh, and like following a strategy is following a strategy, right? So like really the hard part about trading or where it becomes kind of difficult is timing. Uh, and so I guess my experience with Open, again, I'm like balls deep in Europe. Like I am not trading. I don't even have reception most days. Like it's kind of a issue to be trading. And the day that Kyle bought it, I was flying, and I also didn't like necessarily the quote unquote $4 breakout. Like I didn't have charts, so I didn't even know what he was doing talking about. I knew in my head that $5 was like the all-time high. And like I read in the chat like the end of the day or like right before I get on a plane and Kyle's buying it at $4. And I'm like, damn, I want to be in because I'm sure Kyle's not wrong in some respects, but like I also don't see the trade and I'm getting on a plane and so I'm just gonna wait. And I think like I got off the plane and the stock's at like 460, it's like approaching five, and I'm like, crap, I missed it. And like I have all these like annoying feelings in my chest that I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss like probably the best breakout of the summer. And I think I just took a chill pill for like, I was like, all right, I missed it. Like I allowed that to be my reality. I knew it was gonna break out of five that day. And when it did, I kind of had the perspective of this is up from three. Like this isn't a tight consolidation. This is like me chasing the high. And although yes, it's breaking out, like I don't like buying a stock that's up 2 days in a row from three into five where everyone else has gotten in below. And I'm like literally the last guppy to buy. Like that doesn't seem smart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I didn't chase it. I ignored the big $5 level, but I kind of like kept my eye on the price, and I, went on to stay in Europe and on the boat, and I had this big old line traded at like at five, and like the next day it failed. I was like, fantastic, get back under five because like I feel like if this consolidates, builds a base, and doesn't feel as much of a chase, the next time it gets over five, I'm gonna buy it like it never broke out of five. I'm just gonna treat five like this whole dollar area that's like super important. And if we can consolidate under for a couple days and it gets back over it, like I'm gonna blindly buy it and risk the lows, whatever that is. And hopefully it's tight. Hopefully it's. And that's exactly what happened. So like I didn't follow someone else's trade plan. I still kept to the key level. I allowed it to consolidate, and what do you know? Like 4 or 5 days later, it stays under five for multiple of days, bumps up against it 2 or 3 times, and the day it gets back over it, I buy it. I set my stop at low of day. I close my laptop. I open it up 2 weeks later, and we're at $10. Fantastic news. Like
Like
wow.
what? What?
Uh, so that was sick for all of the components. It wasn't like necessarily like just like I bought open and it went up. It's like there was a lot more that went into the build up into that trade, not only emotionally, but well, I guess all emotionally and like psychologically. And the ability to like park the feelings at bay and focus on my trade plan and not anyone else's is what led me to a great trade. Um, and my biggest long of the year. So that was pretty sick, and it all kind of came together perfectly, and pretty much half my month, like I said.
Fantastic.
My
Yeah.
worst trade,
Yeah. It's the
when you
worst.
said like when you said you bought a stock and you sold it without it breaking like a risk level, like WULF Wolf.
Yeah.
Um, I bought this one at 550 and didn't respect my plan and sold it 2 days later. And then the day after, they released the news that like some partnership with like Google, I think, and it gapped up 100%. And I was not in it anymore. I took a loss for no reason. It did not break my risk. And I just like said, this is stupid. I don't think this like breakout worked. And sometimes breakouts, especially in swing trading, it takes a while for it to like, I guess, chop around and then like curl out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't give it that time. I didn't respect my risk. It's not like it went below my risk and I was giving it time. It never came close to my risk. It came like 5% away from it, and I just like took it off. And then I paid the ultimate price by not being there for the news when like I should have been 100%. Uh, so like it's like those are bad trades, right? It's not like the dollar loss was anything bad. It's the missed opportunity by not following the system and the pattern and what it demands. And I think a lot of traders do that. Uh,
Right. It's like a ghost loss because it's you didn't lose any money, but it's a massive gain missed out on. You know.
it's an opportunity cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not like the fact that I was down was like groundbreaking. I was down like, I don't know, less than $1,000. Like it was nothing relative to like what I've lost or what I can lose. And I just took it off because of feelings. And like your feelings betray you
Yeah.
in trading.
Well, I know what you mean because I know I was in the same position as you were as well, where I mean, when I bought WLF and it didn't work for like 3 days, every day I was looking at it like, when are we gonna get stopped out? Like it was uncomfortable. It was not easy to sit through. So I fully understand, and I'm sure most of the people in the chat and the viewers do understand as well. Like when you're in a trade, you're uncomfortable, and it's not working in your favor. It is very easy to just click a button to get out of that uncomfortability. And I mean, we sat. I mean, I don't know how long until you did sell Wolf, but I mean, I was in that thing for like a good 3 long days of it doing practically nothing but making me think that I was going to stop out eventually, and you know, it just was a very uncomfortable feeling that entire 3 days. So it can get to you if you don't either maybe stop looking at it instead of stop loss, so you just don't have to even watch yourself stop out if it ever happens, or you just have to shut your brain off to that uncomfortable feeling kind of thing. Question for Huddie from Sly Cosine. I mentioned gappers and a really high win rate as of now, which I've experienced too. But it makes me nervous because my stats can only be inflated. How should I manage my mindset accordingly? But it makes me nervous because my stats could be inflated. Well, Sly, do you mean? I mean, how do you mean inflated? The strategy is the strategy. So, like, if a strategy is working well in one market, then those are going to be your stats. Like I wouldn't worry about your stats looking inflated if the setup is just working well. Like the setup is inflated. The setup is working really well in a certain environment. So I'm not sure if do you read it that same way, Huddy? I'm not sure or maybe you want to
No,
clarify slide, but
I think you nailed it on the head. Like it is what it is. It's not uh like yeah, I mean maybe you shouldn't expect every month to be great. Like you're gonna have a red month, if that's the mindset like gut check you need. I don't know when, I don't know how, and well, I do know how. I don't know when, but you will have a red month for the strategy of gappers. So that like for me, April and March, end of March and all of April, like I got slaughtered. Um, and those are my only two red months of the year. Like I actually had a red month, which is like rare. Um, and it's because gappers were just like stopping me out left and right. And like now, like if I look at the strategy on a whole, and you fast forward 6 months, like it's absolutely fine that the strategy is amazingly green. So I think just like I think where a lot of people run away from their systems, and like we were talking about this on Good Morning Nasdaq today, I think with like Dom's reversals that haven't been working too well. Like there are times where the strategy like breaks, and you don't really know if it's broken forever. And like I guess the strategy could break forever, and like you got to have a cutoff point. Uh, but like for something with gappers, something that I've back tested for, I don't know, back to like 2012 and has like thousands and thousands and thousands of samples and data and evidence of it like kind of working, especially in like volatile market conditions. Like my mindset is like don't focus too much on the day by day or month by month and focus more on, I don't know, 6 months to a year. And again, like that risk of ruin type of conversation where you're risking like a smaller percentage of your account so that like even if there is like a huge drawdown session coming, like you can weather the storm where like I think my account dropped 30% in April. And like that doesn't feel good or look like that looks horrible. Like every week I'm losing like 10, $15,000. And then the next week starts and like I start the week off with like minus 8,000, like
Mm-hmm.
it's not a fun feeling. And you're like, crap, here we go again. Another gapper. I'm going to short it and it's going to squeeze me to high noon. And that's exactly what happened. Like, I think every Monday I was down like six to $8,000 to start the week. And then the whole week I'm like fighting back and like, oh, I have a $2,000, $3,000 day. And then like end of the week, like here's another $7,000 loss. Um, and so in those moments, it's hard to stay resilient. It's hard to focus on the system and the process that you've built that hopefully you back tested long enough to know that like yeah, drawdowns happen, but over the long run, over the aggregate, the equity curve recovers. Hopefully that's the case with your strategy. I don't know what your strategy is, but like hopefully that's the case. And that's what kind of helped me in the moment where the strategy was quote unquote broken. And there were some things that I was doing wrong too, but for the most part, the strategy was in a rough patch. And I was talking to a lot of other traders who were experiencing it as well. Not as bad as me, but like we're experiencing like sideways growth, which is also super obnoxious. Like if you're making money, making money, making money, then all of a sudden you have a month where you're sideways, like it feels like you're doing bad. Uh, and it's not necessarily your fault. So like what can you control and what you can't control are two different baskets. Uh, and so I think a lot of people give up on their systems in these moments. And so that's the mentality to have. Like again, like hopefully you're sizing correctly and you can survive these moments and your strategy is good enough to survive these moments. Um, because I think like if it's in a down draw, like you gotta push through it and you gotta take the losses. Like there's nothing you can do if you want to trade your strategy. Um, and just like be prepared for that. Like that moment will come. And the highs are high and they're good and like we make money and that's good money and you don't have to do much and phenomenal. But the lows will come and you have to be prepared to weather the storm. Put your jacket on, go outside and freeze your nips off. That moment's gonna come.
Right, it's going to happen. And when things are bad, would Sly, would you be worrying about are my stats deflated? So I wouldn't worry too much about the stats of the strategy at the time. It's just what the strategy is offering you. So this question is definitely it could be for both of us, but it's definitely mainly for Huddie because Huddie's better at this than I am. If you take a few days off, vacation, work, whatever, how do you go back into restarting after a week or two away?
Spent 59 days in Europe this summer.
He's an expert at this.
Yeah. And the best thing to do is to not be a discretionary trader and to be systematic in your approach. Like, if this happens, then I push this button. And like, I don't want to be early. I don't want to be late. I want to trade as much by the textbook as humanly possible. Because when you're discretionary and you're trying to have these early entries or you're trying to like cherry pick tops or cherry pick bottoms, whatever it is, uh, coming back from vacation, you can overtrade very easily and you can put yourself in a little bit of a hole. and you can start to hate trading and want to go back to vacation pretty quickly. Um, so it's really like about limiting your ability to trade by following strict criteria of like what you can and cannot trade. Uh, and I experienced that today, like CJET. I don't know if you're there for Good Morning Nasdaq, but like Kyle shorted CJET, and I like my words, quote unquote, were this is the best way to lose money today. Like if this doesn't work, that's a great trade to take. But for me, like I've stopped trading stocks under $1. Um, and like discretionarily, I wanted to short it with Kyle. And systematically, it doesn't fit my system. And instead of letting that like button turn on that says like F it, it's still a good gapper and it could have great results, like I'm just gonna trade it because I'm not trading anything else. I decided not to trade. And of course I missed out on a huge gain, right? But that's besides the point. The point is like I got back from Europe and I want to trade the same way that I was trading before I went to Europe. I want to trade exactly the way that like was building my equity curve that is giving me the confidence. I want to double my account size. Like I want to inject some money because I have now 2 years of evidence of like this working really well. Um, and like I think I can increase my risk, which is what doubling my account size would do. And I don't want to like come back and hurt my confidence by trading things that I wouldn't have traded before I went to Europe, by having entries that I wouldn't have had before I went on vacation. And like, especially in the first week back, like you want to push those buttons. You want to get involved. You want to make money. You want to get back to building that account, building that risk tolerance, and like pushing the needle forward. Like that's the urge that we have. Like, let's get back to work. It's time to make some money. Let's finish the year strong. But you still have to do it in a very specific and meticulous way. And if you don't do that, you're fucked. Excuse my language. Uh, you'll dig a hole for yourself. So that's how I approach it. I just go basics, bread and butter. What are my patterns? What are my triggers? When do I get out of them? Let's roll. And if I miss, I miss. Like if there's something that's great and it's not in my wheelhouse, fine. It doesn't matter. It's not in my wheelhouse.
I like that. The only other perspective I would add to this, or maybe it's going to just layer on top of what you just said, Huddie, is like imagine you're an NBA basketball player, and and to get to the NBA, you have literally practiced every single day of your entire teenage kid and into adult life. You've probably put in thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours into that craft, right? Whether it's basketball, tennis, trading, whatever. Like you eventually put in so much time that taking, again, a week off, 2 weeks off, like isn't and shouldn't wreck you so much that when you get back, you're just completely out of touch, right? And I can actually really align with this because I remember self-sabotaging myself so hard when it actually came to basketball. Like little side story. When I was in high school, like all that mattered to me was basketball. Like I was the, a naive white boy thinking he was going to make it to the NBA, right? Not that white boys don't make it to the NBA, but I was not going to be one of them, right? But like I was like, yeah, if I practice 6 days or 7 days a week and I just go at least for 2 or 3 hours a day, like I'm going to be as best I possibly can, and then we're going to make my dreams come true, right? And like the 14-year-old self to me. The problem is that every like Sunday, every Saturday, every like 7th day of the week after I just practiced for 6 days long or 6 days in a row, I'm exhausted. Like every muscle in my body aches. And I'm like, I know mentally, I'm like, you have to take a break. You have to take a day off. Right. And so often I would, but I would self-sabotage because then in my head, I started telling myself that taking that one day off ruins the other 6 days of work I put in. So it was, and I look back on it, obviously my memory is faded. It's been 15 years since then, plus. But like literally me thinking that taking one day off was a curse of that all those other 6 days didn't matter. It literally hurt me. Like literally my senior year was probably my worst year of my entire, high school basketball career because I started caring so much. I started caring too much that like having a little bit of carefreeness to it actually is a blessing. So, if you're putting in the work for trading and you're putting in hours and you're getting very comfortable with taking trades over and over and over and over and over again, taking a week off, taking 2 weeks off shouldn't have you coming back and being like, oh God, where's the buy button? Like, oh no, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like it should not feel that foreign. in my opinion. Maybe you need to get back into the groove of like, okay, well, what's moving? I need to scan for longer than I usually do just to get a feel for things again, or like what's been some hot themes recently that may have popped up in the last week. Like I get that, but you're like Huddy said, like your own setups, your own trade planning, your own strategies should be like the back of your hand the moment you walk through the door on the way back, on the first day back, right? It should not feel this out of place nature, at all. So
Yeah. I will say, like, the one thing that, well, I've been bad at this all year, so I don't really fault me for it too much, but I could be better at it. I don't really scan at the end of the night anymore. I scan during the day, or during the morning, like at like 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. And due to that quote unquote laziness, and like I also wasn't in the chat, so I wasn't seeing people were talking, and I had a wedding. So there's a lot of things going on. But I missed the NUAI breakout over a buck 15, which fits my strategy perfectly. And I probably would have been in it till at least a buck 75, and that would have been a big gain. So like also like have a process, have a routine, and like do the things, like even if they seem silly, like go through the scans, write down your watch list, like be prepared, and don't miss like the obvious ones. You know,
right,
there's something to be said for that.
I agree. Um, Question from Vale. I've been trading index futures for about 3 years, looking to expand into individual stocks and swinging. It's weird. I'm very versed in my field, but being in something new, I feel completely beginner. Any advice? Well, welcome, Vale. All the way from futures, exciting. I mean, I think that feeling is pretty normal, right? I mean, I think if you put Huddie or I into futures, we'd be like, whoa, like what's going on here? I actually have a friend who was big into futures for a while, and I think he is partially, but he recently came into small cap day trading maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I know there was a bit of a learning curve for him as well, but now he does pretty well. But my advice would be that trust the learning curve or the process that you went through with futures that got you comfortable there to do it here, right? Like if you've mastered, how to make trade plans or how to find a strategy with futures, like it's not going to be the exact same here, but there's going to be a process that you can kind of just copy and paste in, right? And then we talked about this maybe a couple Good Morning Ads ago or a couple Wine Wednesdays ago about me going into swing trading, because that was a new endeavor. That was a new setup. That was a new, and that really was an entirely different strategy that is very different from me my day trading. But I picked it up very quickly because the process of studying, the process of going through a learning curve, and the process of just adding another setup to my arsenal or strategy to my arsenal is a copy and paste kind of methodology. Like you could legitimately give me a strategy, tell me exactly how to enter, how to exit, and what the trade plans look like, and how to find and scan for charts. And prove to me with data that it's profitable for XYZ reasons, and I could probably trade it next week. You know what I mean? Like once you have the, let's say the computer console, all you then need is to plug in the game. Like I got a PS5, just give me Call of Duty, right? Give me Mario Kart or whatever. Like just put in the game, and then all of a sudden you're playing. As a silly analogy. So like think about it in that manner, right? Create the process so that wherever you do, it will just kind of plug and play. Mark says, Huddy, out of those 10 days, what were most of the setups? Well, you mentioned open was like half your month, and then
Hang on,
he's
I'm
looking.
getting the exact number.
There you go.
This is the beautiful thing about tracking every trade. Shout out Kyle's money sheets. Okay, I got the answer. I hope I did it right. 14 swing trades, which is probably not, sorry, there was 30 trades. But with swing trading, you just have to understand how I log it in the journal. There actually wasn't 14 swing trades, but every time I sell, I log that trade, and like so a partial sell would go down as a trade. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 entries for open, and those are trades. Different. Like it's a stupid way to do it, but it's like efficient for me to just lots of money, like that's a trade. So out of 30 quote unquote trades, like 14 of them were swing trades, but like in reality, it's not actually like 40%. Four, probably like, yeah. I had three breaks, nine cracks, and three gapping traps and swing trades with with first red days and would be the answer.
Nice, nice. Um, let me see here. Lost my place. Wait, where did I? Okay, answer that question. Answer that question. Jason
Okay,
says,
I'm considering moving to either Cobra Trading or Centerpoint Securities. JC asks, since I have full-time job, I usually trade on my phone. Is DAS Mobile easy to use for finding daily top gainers? I've never used DAS Mobile to scan. Have you?
no. In fact, I don't, it's not correcting you, JC is not the correct word, but I will inform you, DAS is not a scanner. So whether it's DAS mobile or DAS on a desktop, you're not going to find the top daily gainers on DAS. I mean, I think DAS has a couple like maybe tools where you can like look at like maybe I don't know if it's on DAS or a different software, but like maybe you can find what stocks are making new high days on the day. But if you're looking for like a screener, like something to genuinely scan for very specific criteria or very specific percent gains, yeah, that's not going to happen on DAS Mobile. Maybe they updated it and I have no idea. I'm just ignorant on DAS Mobile, but I've used DAS Mobile plenty of times. And I don't believe they have that feature. Something more better with this, and this would be just free, and you don't even have to have I mean, you have to have an account with them, but it takes minutes to set up, and then you don't have to really give them money, is like Thinkorswim with like Schwab, right? Just get a Thinkorswim mobile app, and then you can actually use a scanner for top daily gainers on that app that way. So that's an option.
Ben at DG, you might have to re-ask this question. Sense to me. How do you trade when facing a fader market such as this for long side? Like, I don't think this is a fader market.
Yeah, we have a different. We're looking at a different market here. This is the most long friendly market I think I've ever been a part of. Because I am not a good long trader, and I am making money on the long side hand over fist. And I'm not trying that hard. Like I'm not even buying everything on the sun. I'm being very particular, and maybe that's why. But like I'm seeing plenty of stocks go up without me. So yeah, I think we're on the
In my
different
experience,
side of things.
the way to make money in like what's fading, like what I know is like I don't know like what your definition of market is. That's what's tough. But like what I know to fades are like penny stocks that gap up on both on BS news. So like maybe don't buy hype. Maybe look for more, structure and charts. And like this is not a market. So you're looking at like an individual grouping of stocks that are fading constantly. Like stop looking at those stocks for longs. Like that's what I would say.
Yeah, true.
Skater Hub says I was stock $5,
Honey, real
200 or
quick,
whatnot. Is there?
real quick.
Yeah.
Unplug your mic and plug it back in. It's like
Oh, is it being
it's
staticky?
gotta be choppy in and out. Not staticky, just like it's like you go low volume, then high volume, then low volume. Let's see if that works.
You can read the question.
Okay. I heard you the good there too for a second. I was more looking at stocks that halt up, let's say $5 and resume at 200. Oh, what he's so when you talk about like the fat tail risk of stocks that halt up at 5, resume at 200, is there data on that? A common theme between stocks that have done that and how to avoid them? I mean, no, I don't think there's data on them because there's only been like what, Huddie, 5 examples, maybe 3 examples, and they've all been in the last year, 2 years. And most of the or all of them have been on low float scammy pump and dump like tickers. I was going to say China, but again, when I say China, I don't necessarily mean they're from China. They can be from China, but I mean they're China as in like it's called the China liquidation setup, because most of the companies are from China that do that, where they will dump 90% in a single day. But before they do that, they will play as many games they need to get the stock price higher. And so there's been some of these sketchy companies that instead of dumping, they halt up 1,000% or something insane, right? ZJYL halted up from 26 to 500, right? So I know that's what you're referring to. So the easiest way to avoid that is, one, don't short insanely micro floats. And if you see a stock that has any kind of sketchy low volume, wash sale volume, and or previous history of 90% dump days, just don't even, don't touch them with a 10-foot pole. That's a very easy way to avoid those.
Is my mic kind of working?
Yeah, I hear you good.
I think the last one that kind of did this was QMMM, which was like a couple weeks ago. And like, again, like you kind of go to the profile of the stock and it's from Hong Kong. The board members are all Chinese names. Like, this is like exactly what Kyle was just talking about. Like, location's kind of a thing. If they're like Chinese scams, like those are the ones that kind of squeeze. A lot of the time they don't have a lot of volume. Like, if you have a ton of liquidity, it's harder. I'm not saying it's impossible. And that's a scary situation. It's a good argument as to like not why not to short. I would say because like if you don't know how to kind of avoid that situation, like you can like lose a lot of money. It's terrifying. Unfortunately, like Kyle said, like there are like cookie crumbs, and like if you are responsible and meticulous about your like approach, like you can for the most part avoid them. Like I've never really been in one as a gap and crap short seller. Um, that wasn't like intentionally trying to short them. So like you could avoid them by just knowing what the stocks are and like looking at the history.
Yep, I agree.
It's not foolproof, which is why like risking very small percentage of your account is still good.
I agree.
All right, I'm gonna try to rapid fire these questions, and if
Okay.
my mic starts going crazy, just like cut me off, and I'm just gonna let you do it.
Okay.
All right, risking 2% with say a 30% stop that opens 1,000% higher or more. Have you been caught in one or been close to catching one? No. Um, what's up, boys? Pre-market gappers haven't had much follow through after opening for long side. Am I right? Qualamagi scans seem pretty mediocre recently too. Um, I don't know. BENF went from 60 cents to $1 yesterday. So like can't really say yes or no. I Kyle and I like times that we're gonna buy a stock on day one gapping up, maybe like twice a year. So like I think most of them usually don't have follow through to the long side. And but like if you do, just put them on a scanner and wait for them to set up. Um, sorry, I'm just gonna keep reading these because we don't have much time.
Okay.
If
Well,
I see a good question,
the only
I
thing,
can
the
stop.
only one sentence I'll add to that is that there was a lot of different variables there, and so talking about gap and craps and then Kuomagi scans, like again, the Kuomagi swing ideas have like crushed it this month, and there's more setups than I can count going into tomorrow. So you're either not scanning enough or you got the wrong scan. There is mediocre is the last word I would use from a Kuomagi scanning perspective.
Skater Hub says I've been loving Gap and Craps, and it's been the strat. I've decided to trade them to my first 100K before adding more to the arsenal. Just trying to figure out how sustainable it is. Well, only one way to find out. I've struggled with patience on longs and small caps for years. At which point do you think I should embrace this tendency to be scalpy versus continuing to fight that tendency and be more patient? I don't know. That's a personal thing. Like Kyle and I are both very much so not scalpy at all. So maybe play with like when I shorted gap and crap, like for instance, like I'm not covering until end of day. Like it's a timeline thing. So maybe like try time, right? Like maybe like hold along until like for an hour at least. And then either like have a strict rule of like what time you're selling or like play with time frames of like how long you force yourself to hold and like stop focusing on the price action and just focus on the fact that like you built a new port. Like I don't know what the answer is for you, but like try putting yourself see how those results are after like I don't know, you trade it like 30 times and like obviously some are not going to work out and some will, but like a lot of times just like following price action is tough for newer traders. For instance, like a lot of the times that I buy multi-day breakouts, like I swing them. And it doesn't matter what the stock does. Like if it doesn't break my risk, like I hold overnight. And like it's not that I'm being patient, it's that's what the strategy I'm deploying says to do. Um, that's not a strict rule for me, but like that's how I am quote unquote patient. I just like I won't sell until the next day. And sometimes that's horrible. And sometimes I'm in the best wrap up in the world. And like I know the stats over the long run, and like that's the way that I approach them. I'm not saying that's like the best way to approach them. I'm just saying like play with time frames, or I guess become scalpy. But I don't know about scalping.
Well, you said it right there too. You have a setup that you would know what to expect. So like just saying, should I be scalpy or continuing to be patient? It's like, well, what does your setup ask you to do? Like this setup should kind of, you should have a good understanding of your setup that says, hey, this setup has me holding this or shorting this for an hour, 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 minutes. If it is a scalping like idea or setup, so like you should have a better understanding of what kind of game plan or setup strategy you have, because you should want to follow that strategy. If you don't have that part, if that part of your strategy is totally unknown, you're leaving it to just your own discretion, well then yeah, you're going to get uncomfortable and just sell just because you feel like it when you're not even following maybe the exact edge that's being given to you or that you're trying to follow in the first place. So being much more clear on what that is for you, the strategy you're trading, I think will help certainly. So
Kyle, what's your favorite strategy? What's your favorite broker for short selling? I'm just gonna say Cobra.
yep, Cobra. We have I'll put a link in here. Clover has a discount deal, so anyone who does sign up for Cobra gets like 3 months free commissions. Let me find the link and I'll send it in the chat here. But yeah, it would be Cobra.
How was Wolf a breakout? Trade breakout, but like 550 was a key level, and then it failed, and then it had news and went crazy. Um, I don't know. It's just like a sideways chart with highs and a good sector. It's hard to explain. Okay, Kyle. Do you breakout in small caps? And also now I hear some of swing trading. Is there a sin of strategies? Which do you like to trade breakouts more? To swing a small cap?
Let me read that one more time. Are there any comparison strategies? Which do you like to do more? No, I mean, yeah, they're different strategies. I typically don't want to swing a small cap stock because there's more offing risk. There's also more giving back gains risk. Like you could long a small cap and it might go 100% one day, but then be down 50% the next. And where swinging comes into play from a mid cap or large cap perspective, like, you want to see continuation for multiple days, if not multiple weeks, to really get a good move coming out of it. So they are, the difference is I'm not holding them for multiple days. A small cap I might hold for a day, maybe two max. Large cap or mid cap, actual cool Magi style swing trading, I'm willing to hold as long as I don't get stopped out on a risk level or a moving average. You know, so that's the difference.
Okay. I don't see a ton more questions. Kyle, your favorite pattern in this market? It's got to be swing trading.
Swing trading is where it's at right now. Yeah.
Mason just had his biggest month yet, so clap it up, give him some
Nice,
snaps. He
Mason.
made some money. Good
Sweet.
job. Feels like he underperformed. Always, this feels like the constant dilemma of being a trader. You can always do better. There's always that trade you messed up, and that world where it could have been a better. Just be happy with what you got and review and do better next time. The market's not going anywhere. Like you have tons of opportunity to perform.
Yeah. Yes. Does that ever happen to you? That is the human experience, Mason. That will never go away, and you have to be okay with it never feeling enough, because it will never be. Like you can make 15K, and someone is going to make 150K, and then someone else is going to make 1.5 million, and the guy he knows is going to make 15 million in a month. Like there's always bigger levels, and so just worry about being better and like improving, but don't let P&L be the gauge because you will always be disappointed. So,
alrighty then. That is the hour. Thank you guys all for coming. I do have to get running. I know there's maybe like one or two more questions. So Kyle, why don't you close it out for us?
okay. Yeah, if you have these questions, there's actually like way more. There's like 4 or 5 now. Save them for either Good Morning NASDAQ or next Wine Wednesday, or feel free to join the room. If you join the room, you happily can get access to there and ask the questions throughout the trading day. But yeah, lots of good questions today. Thanks for participating, coming in. Thanks for liking, subscribing if you haven't already. And yeah, have a great rest of your Wednesday night, everybody. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much. Bye.